Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Zoo School Live. Today we're having a little spa day. We're going to talk a little bit about self-care when it comes to our reptiles, in particular here at Elmwood Park Zoo. And to help us out, we have our lovely Argentine black and white tegu, Tango, who has already joined us in this lovely warm bath. So we'll talk a little bit about what it means to care for an animal like Tango and some of the details that maybe we don't always focus on or don't think about. And then of course a little bit of her natural history and some of the important things to know about this species in general, especially if you're really interested in reptiles. As always, please make sure you put those comments down there, any questions you think of. I'll be happy to answer them as we go. So we do have Tango here, as I said, in a little bit of warm water. And this is something that she needs a couple times a week, believe it or not. Now we often bathe, multiple times a week to clean ourselves, and sometimes that can be a relaxing process as well. In Tango's case, it's really important for her to soak so that she can stay well hydrated. Now in her natural habitat, she'd be found in South America, in the woodlands and the savanna grasslands, so she kind of has a little bit of a mixture of a habitat, but it would be very humid and warm at times. And so we have to replicate that here at the zoo. And sometimes it's very tricky to create enough humidity in her home, so soaking her every day or every couple days really helps to make sure she's getting enough hydration. And as you can see, she really enjoys hanging out in her nice warm bath. Now we have to make sure that this water is not too hot and not too cold, just like you probably have a preference at home for your bath time or your shower time. We don't want to scald her, and we also don't want it to be too cool because she is a cold-blooded animal. So we need to make sure that the temperature is not going to be too different from what's around her. So she likes a nice lukewarm bath. If we get a nice close look at her scales, you might see that some areas actually are kind of peeling off and look a little bit more shiny or more dull than other spots. And that's because, like other reptiles, tegus do shed their old scales as they grow and as they get kind of worn out. So to assist with that, we do soak Tango as well. So it kind of helps to get under the old scales and loosen them up. You can actually see her tail is a really good example. You can see here she's kind of this nice shiny black and white, and then it's right about there is where it starts to get a little bit more brown. And that doesn't mean that she's dirty or gross, it's just that those are the old scales that haven't lifted and been replaced yet. So when that happens, they actually grow another layer of scales underneath that are fresh and new, and then the older scales lift up and usually peel off. Now a little bit different than a snake. When we talk about snake shedding, many times snakes actually will shed their whole skin all at once, or at least that's the ideal situation for them, is to just kind of peel it all off like a sock. When it comes to lizards, many times they shed in patches. So she goes through different points where she might lose the scales on her head or the scales on her legs, and as you can see on her tail. So it doesn't all come off at the same time. Now to also assist with this, we have a really special tool. We have a toothbrush, this very fancy lizard massage brush. And so what we will do is we'll kind of use that to kind of brush up and down along Tango's scales. She really likes kind of the top of her head scratch sometimes. And this can kind of just massage her body and also help with removing any dirt and any old scales that might be stuck on there. So while the lizard might not be the first animal you think of when it comes to spa days or self-care, they do enjoy a little pampering now and then, and we try to provide that as much as possible for all of our animals here at the zoo. Now, one of the really important things to talk about with tegus is that they are commonly found in the pet trade. And so this is something that many people don't realize getting into it, that they are a pretty complicated animal. While they can be a really awesome animal to experience and to see up close and maybe even meet at a zoo, bringing one home means you need to understand everything about them first. So our friend Tango, she is about 5 years old, but she could live to be upwards of 20 years old. And so that's a pretty big commitment. If you're gonna bring an animal like a tegu home, it's not just for a few years. It could be for a large portion of your life. And it's not really fair for an animal to not have a stable home throughout its whole life. So it's important to remember that's a big time commitment. On top of that, they also have, remember, a lot of special requirements. So she needs humidity, she needs nice moisture, she needs soaks. She also needs UV light. So just like we enjoy a nice sunny day, I'm sure you guys have been getting outside and enjoying the beautiful weather and the sunshine the last 2 days. Tango and other tegus need that as well, because naturally they would be getting a lot of sunshine and sunlight in their habitat. They're from South America, so they're coming from a very warm climate with a lot of very direct sunlight. So we have to provide that here for Tango. And we also have to make sure that she gets exercise. You can see her spa. Maybe she's decided it's time to explore. So her spa might be over, but she loves to explore and climb, and they're excellent at walking around and swimming even. So you need to provide them opportunities to utilize their body. Now here at the zoo, we do that by letting Tango go for walks outside when it's warm enough, and then also giving her a chance to walk around indoors too when it's not quite nice out. On top of all of those different requirements like humidity and UV, they do need warm temperatures. They can also eat a lot. So they are, like other reptiles, not going to necessarily eat every single day, but they do eat a wide variety of foods. So tegus, like Tango, are actually omnivores. So that means they enjoy eating both fruits and vegetables and animal products. Now Tango is certainly not a huge fan of fruits and vegetables, which is pretty typical for large tegus. She really likes to eat different types of meats and bugs and things like that. But we do offer her different fruits and vegetables to make sure she gets a balanced diet. So it's important to provide those options, because in the wild, they wouldn't just be eating one type of food. They would be eating all different varieties of things that they could find, such as different insects and arachnids. They would also be eating bird eggs and small mammals, and then of course those fruits and vegetables, roots and nuts and things like that. So she does have very powerful jaws, and while tegus like Tango are often pretty docile, meaning they're pretty easygoing, they do have very powerful jaws, and they have a very powerful tail. So this animal, while she is very relaxed right now and enjoying her spa day, her pampering, this is still an animal that you need to be respectful of and aware of when you're close up. So we try to make sure that the animal that we're working with has choice and gives us any kind of signals. We listen to them, because she does have that super big tail. They can actually whip that back and forth, very strong, very powerful, to protect themselves. So we have to consider that when we're handling Tango and around her. Now the big issue facing Argentine black and white tegus in particular is that they are considered an invasive species in some of our southern states. So in Florida and Georgia, they are actually found in a couple counties surviving in the wild. Now remember, I mentioned earlier, they are naturally found in South America. So how did these tegus get here to the United States? Most likely, we believe they may have been escapees. You know, if someone had some tegus as a pet, or they were purposefully released. And this is something that does often happen, especially with reptiles, we find, because people think they'll make a cool pet, they'll bring them home, not realizing how much care they require or how big they're going to get. You can see Tango is a big girl. She weighs close to 8 pounds, and these guys can weigh over 10 pounds. So imagine bringing home a baby tegu, which will be about this big, and then over a few years, you have an animal that's humongous. So unfortunately, many people don't do their research. They bring home a tegu, and it starts to grow, and so they needed a way to find it a new home. And if they can't find it a new home, sometimes people will release them into the wild. And unfortunately, that can cause problems as an invasive. So an invasive species is an animal that is not naturally found in a particular area. And with a tegu, again, they're from South America, never naturally found here in North America, but they've learned to adapt and survive. So in some of our southern warmer states, they can overwinter and breed. Now the reason that's a problem is that they do eat a lot. So they can actually eat other small reptiles, species of birds, all different kinds of invertebrates, and they actually could outcompete or be better at eating and hunting and surviving than some of our native species. So that's an issue in some of those states. So it's always important, we try to stress so often that if you think an animal is really awesome and you want to learn more and maybe incorporate one into your life as a pet, it's so crucial to know everything about them and make sure you're committing to that animal for its life. Because while those tegus in the wild are surviving, unfortunately they are the source of a lot of stress and a lot of pressure by state game commissions and things to eradicate them, and that's not really fair to those animals either. So it's better to make sure you know everything about them before you bring them home. Now Tango seems to really be enjoying her soak. We'll take a little bit more time here to give her a little rub down. I often wish that I had some staff to take care of me on a spa day like this. We've got our nice music in the background here. Nice relaxing day. Now, not all of our reptiles are going to have a spa day necessarily. We only do this if an animal really enjoys it. So we have some species of lizard and snake and even turtle or tortoise that maybe don't appreciate soaking. So for them, what we can do instead is provide opportunities for them to scratch against things, or maybe we mist them a little bit. We give them a nice little spray down. So we make sure that our spa days or our pampering, when it comes to our animals here at Elmwood Park Zoo, is adapted to what they naturally would be interested in. So tegus, while they do live in the grassland and the woodlands, they are excellent swimmers. They would spend time in the water. And while it's hard to tell you guys or show you guys in this bin, they have very powerful legs and very powerful tail that almost help them to swim a little bit like an alligator. So they have a very impressive motion in the water. So this is something that she would naturally do in her habitat. Now Tango did not come from the wild. She was born at another facility. She actually came from the Academy of Natural Sciences down in Philadelphia. We were very excited to work with them and bring Tango here to the zoo. And so she actually arrived last January, so January 2020, and then things kind of changed for everybody in the world in those next 2 months. So she hasn't had a whole lot of chance to debut out in the zoo yet. So we're hoping that this spring and summer, with our nice warm weather, she'll be able to come out and meet lots of guests and really make an awesome impression because she is a pretty impressive animal. You can see that big tongue. That's actually a forked tongue, and she's gonna use that to help her to smell. In fact, for her spa day today, I did bring a few smelly things. We actually have some rosemary up front here. We'll see if she likes to smell a little bit of that. You like some rosemary, Tango? Not super interested in it. And then we also have some little bit of cedar here. So we also give her smells, different scents to check out to help enrich her. Just like many of our other animals, they enjoy smelling different things. I'm not sure what Tango's favorite smell is, but we do like to give her different types of sweet and then also herbs and sometimes some perfumes. So we're just gonna enjoy a little bit of our day here, our spa. And if you guys have questions, make sure you put them in the comments. We'll just do some nice close-up hangout time with Tango with our little ambiance in the background and give people some time in case they do have things they'd like to ask.
Like we have any questions today, but lots of people watching, so thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us on this spa day. Hopefully this was a few minutes of self-care for you at home, watching this big beautiful lizard getting a little bit of spa day loving. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and be sure to continue to tune in on Tuesdays and Thursdays where we'll be meeting new animals every week and seeing and maybe revisiting some old favorites and old friends and get to see what they do here at the zoo. So thanks for watching just a little bit of behind the scenes of one of the many parts of Tango's day here at the zoo. And thanks for tuning in, guys. Be sure if you've missed any of our old episodes, you can actually view them all on our YouTube page at Elmwood Park Zoo.
Tango is for sure living her best life today.
Yeah. It's a beautiful day, so I'm sure we'll get her out into the sunshine. It's one of the ways that a lot of our reptiles definitely practice some self-care as we get them out into the sun, and now that spring seems to be on the horizon. A lot more of our reptiles will be outside enjoying some of those sunny rays, since these guys really rely on the sun to warm up their bodies. So this is pretty great. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in and watching Tango today. We really enjoyed hanging out with you guys, and we hope you continue to join us here at the zoo. All right, everyone. Goodbye and have a wonderful day. Hopefully you guys take a moment to yourself today and think of Tango when you do. Bye, everybody.